Don't scare Negroes today with no badge or no white skin or no white sheet or no white anything else. The police the same way. They put their club upside your head and then turn around and accuse you of attacking them. Every case of police brutality against a Negro follows the same pattern. They attack you, bust you all upside your mouth, and then take you to court and charge you with assault. What kind of democracy is that? What kind of freedom is that? What kind of social or political system is it when a black man has no voice in court, has nothing on his side other than what the white man chooses to give him? My brothers and sisters, we have to put a stop to this, and it will never be stopped until we stop it ourselves. They attack the victim, and then the criminal who attacked the victim accuses the victim of attacking him. Yes, sir. This is American justice. Yes, sir. That's right. This is American democracy. Yes, and those of you who are familiar with it know that in America, democracy is hypocrisy. Right. These Negroes aren't asking for no nation. They're trying to crawl back on the plantation. A revolution is bloody. Revolution is hostile. Revolution knows no compromise. Revolution overturns and destroys everything that gets in its way. And you sitting around here like a knot on the wall saying, I'm going to love these folks no matter how much they hate me. No, you need a revolution.
உங்களுக்கு வந்து கார் வேணும்னா பிளாக் கலர் வேணும் கிளாஸா, ஃபோன் வேணும்னா பிளாக் கலர் கிளாஸா வேணும், வீடு பெயிண்ட் வேணும் செம்ம கிளாஸியாக வேணும்னா பிளாக் கலர் வேணும். ஆனால் பீப்புள் மட்டும் டார்க்காக இருந்தால் அவங்கள அக்செப்ட் பண்ணிக்க மாட்டாங்க.
The British actually purchased grain that the Bengalis could barely afford to buy in order to ship it to Europe, not to aid the war effort as his defenders claim, but to boost the buffer stocks in the event of a future possible invasion of Greece and Yugoslavia. People started dying, and Churchill said, well, it's all their fault anyway for breeding like rabbits. He said, I hate the Indians, they're a beastly people with a beastly religion. Australian ships were docking in Calcutta port and were ordered by Churchill and his odious paymaster General Lord Cherwell not to disembark their wheat, but to sail on to Europe, where their wheat might be used in some future reserve stock, saying that people were dying literally on the streets, and all Churchill could bring himself to do was write peevishly on the side of the file, why hasn't Gandhi died yet?
Wow.
And this is the man the British want us to hail as an apostle of freedom and democracy, when he has as much blood on his hands as some of the worst genocidal dictators of the 20th century.
We're talking about gender identity. You're talking about sexuality.
Okay, to me, I'm a male. Okay?
Okay.
So, what are you? So I can call you sir or ma'am. What are you?
What would you assume looking at me?
What are you?
What would you assume looking at me?
I assume that you're a man. Okay? Okay?
You studied your history, and you did not take over this country by singing "We Shall Overcome." You did not gain control of the world like you have it now by dealing fairly with a man and keeping your word. You're treaty breakers, you're liars, you're thieves, you rape entire continents and races of people. Then you wonder why these very people don't have any confidence or trust in you. Your religion means nothing. Your law is a farce, and we see it every day. You demonstrated it in Alabama, and I can say you because you're part of the whole system. You profit from it. In fact, you make your living from it. You couldn't walk around and talk to people, stand up in your pulpit on Sunday and preach nice little songs and say, now we're going to give thanks to the Lord for he is good and old Jesus be among us. As far as we're concerned, your Jesus is contaminated, just like everything else you tried to force upon us is contaminated. Well, so you can have him. And here's what I'll say. I wish you would follow Jesus like we followed him. Because if you did that, then we'd be in charge tomorrow.
Alaikum. Mr. Moderator, our distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, our friends and our enemies.
Wassalatu wassalam rasulullah wa ba'd. In the name of Allah, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon his last and final messenger. Family, friends, foes, haters, and hateettes, welcome back to the Feachaz. I greet you all in peace and love with no hatred in my heart. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So before we begin, please like, please subscribe, and please share. As you know, we got a lot of haters up in here. And today's topic is so shocking, okay? And my wife actually sent me this article because I was going to talk about white supremacy and blackface today, and we're going to do that maybe tomorrow. But because she sent me this article, and this topic is related to white supremacy and blackface, that I said, okay, let me do this one because this one has this article just came out. And the scholarship and the research done behind this article is so thorough and important that I said, okay, I have to go live on this one. So like, subscribe, share, hit me up on Patreon, and let's get into it. So family, we said even yesterday, okay, when we went live yesterday, that white supremacy is a system. It is a system that has been refined and tweaked and perfected for the last almost 5 solid centuries. And in the 20th century, what we have is, after World War I and World War II, we have the pinnacle of the consolidation of white supremacist theology, I guess you can say, because white supremacy is almost like a religion. And white supremacy, being a white supremacist, does not in any way, shape, or form require you to be white. I will repeat that. Being a white supremacist does not require you to be white because it is a system. All you have to do to be a white supremacist is participate in the upholding and the preservation in that system. Like in World War II, after the Japanese started translating the works of Charles Darwin, they started talking about how they were the superior race. Why were they superior with the superior race? Because they didn't have much hair on their bodies. In Cambodia, some of y'all might remember the killing fields in Cambodia, where a specific dictator, his name was Pol Pot, okay? He started exterminating ethnic Vietnamese, ethnic Thai, ethnic Chinese, ethnic Cham, Cambodian Christians, Buddhist monks. He started targeting every and anybody who was not a traditional Cambodian, so much so that they had executed, some numbers put it between 1.5 million to 2.5 million out of the entire population of 8 million people there in Khmer Rouge. And it was called the killing fields. And these people were not just executed, but they were buried even sometimes in the same day. Mass graves. Some mass graves with 20,000 people. What was the ideology that brought them to that point? Nazism. The purity of race. Some of y'all might remember Mao Zedong of China. Some people call him Chairman Mao and the father of modern China communism. Mao Zedong also exterminated over, you could say, but some numbers put it between 550 million and some 900 million over. Oh, hold on. No, it was 15 to 55 million people between 1958 to 1962. Okay? And he had all kinds of programs to deplete the population of China. Why was he trying to deplete the population of China? Why was he trying to do this? Because of that communist ideology of getting rid of the feeders, white supremacy. He was the initiator of the deadliest famine in recorded history. But the point is, communism is not native to the Far East. These are all European ideologies from white supremacists. And they take these Marxist-Leninist theories and military strategies and they implement it on their own people. And so even today, you have a genocide in China, which is being implemented against the Uyghur people because they are ethnically distinct from the Chinese. Y'all hearing me? What brought this to this point where they can just exterminate millions of people? What brought them to this point? Nazism. Nazi literature. Communist literature. White supremacist literature. So we have a situation in Canada, and since the rise of the RSS, this is the party there in India, whatnot, in Hindutva, right? We've been having issues in Canada. Now, of course, this is the black grassroots, okay? And the majority of the time, I'm reading these articles, I'm like, this is kind of shocking what these Hindus are doing, but I'm just minding my own black business, okay? I don't want to get involved, right? Now, it's impossible not to get involved. It is impossible because the Hindutva are so organized. You are talking about an international criminal organization that is backed by high-ranking politicians, not just in India, but in everywhere where Hindus are, including Britain, and of course, including Canada. South Asians in Canada are the second largest ethnic group in Canada, soon to be the first. And Hindus, I believe, I can't remember how much, maybe somebody could put it. I think it's like over 100,000 Hindus in Toronto only, right? But I have to double check that. But the point is, there are enough Hindus who believe this Hindutva extremism to cause some real damage internationally. These are not scare tactics. These are not, it's not cap. It is really real. And they admit that they are extremists. When I lived in Brampton, and I first became Muslim, and I went to high school in Brampton, nobody ever made any big deal about Muslims praying. But then we started seeing Hindus just out of the blue complaining about Muslims praying in a high school. That's what we started seeing. And we, of course, I'm long out of high school now, but I said this is like one of the weirdest things ever. Like, why does some Muslim praying? What does it have to do with you? It ain't got nothing to do with you. But what you got to understand that the Hindus of 500 years ago are not the Hindus of today. Even the Hindus of 50 years ago are not the same Hindus today. The Hindus of today are incredibly extreme. And they are willing to commit any crime and any type of atrocity in order to accomplish their goal. So we're going to get into this news article because we all might be thinking this is some scare tactics. No, it's not no scare tactics. This is like some real stuff. It's really, really real. And it's happening right now. And this is like no joke. We're always hearing about problems in Brampton. For those of y'all who don't know Brampton is you could say like a part, like it's a city in western Toronto, or just out at the west of Toronto. And it is highly populated with South Asians. All right, highly, highly populated. So the western Toronto area, you have like 3 cities there that are very highly populated with South Asians. You're talking about Mississauga, Brampton. Brampton is probably the highest population of South Asian, and probably Mississauga. And I want to say Caledon, Milton, these all western Toronto. Huge, huge, huge numbers of South Asians there. Huge numbers. So let's get into this article, shall we? Let's get into it. You will be shocked. You will be shocked. So let me just get into this here. One second, y'all. Let me get this for y'all. Now, I read through this news article. I was just shocked from the news article. But when I read the NCCM research, which was well done, it was professionally done and well documented. Like these people cannot be ignored. The crimes that they're doing, like setting up charities. Why are they setting up charities in the West? So they can launder Canadian dollars back to India to support paramilitary militias in exterminating Muslims. But it's not just the regular people. Even politicians are involved in this. High-ranking, people like in schools and you name it. It's like it's insane. It's insane what's going on. So, anyways, let's look at this, y'all. So that you don't think I'm just making this up. We're going to read from the news article. 1 second here. Okay. This is from CTV News. How a supremacist political ideology from India is said to be gaining influence in Canada. Now, we have been hearing about Hindu the Hindu rhetoric becoming more and more extreme in Canada. I would say at least just between the last 5, almost 10 years, right here in Canada. It's something that just kind of started happening like suddenly. We never had this problem before. And now suddenly we have this problem. And it all coincides with Modi's movement, right? The timing of Modi's movement. Modi was the president of India right at the moment. Okay, so let's read this now. Okay, a new report purports to shine a light on how Hindu nationalist movement has become entrenched in influential circles in the Indian diaspora in Canada, and how politicians at all levels, are you reading this? Politicians at all levels have been drawn into its sphere. You ain't seen nothing yet. Let's keep reading, y'all. Okay. The report commissioned the National Council of Canadian Muslims, that's the NCCM. Y'all know I criticized the NCCM a bunch of times here on this channel. But they did some amazing work on this. I have to give them props. The work that they did on this report was just outstanding. And Muslims need to be, not just Muslims, everybody needs to be taking close heed to this. Everybody. It don't make a difference if you're Muslim or not. And especially black folk. But anyways, I digress. And the World Sikh Organization focuses on operations of the Rashtriya Swami Savik Sangh. I'm sorry, my Hindi's not that good. A paramilitary volunteer organization. You cannot make this up. This is from Canada. A paramilitary volunteer organization. The RSS is based in India, but has a flourishing global network. We are just getting started, y'all. We are just getting started. I hope y'all are sharing this. If you know any South Asians, any Pakistanis, and any Indians, whatever, they need to see this stuff. This is crazy. Supporters of the RSS adhere to an ideology known as Hindutva, which espouses the idea of India as a Hindu first nation. The report points out the founders of RSS admire Nazi Germany's attempts to keep up the purity of race and culture that is quote unquote. That is quote unquote. Remember, we are the ones who told you. Not every white supremacist is white. You don't have to be a white person to be a white supremacist. White supremacy is a global system. Now you can imagine this global system being buffered by millions of Hindus, not just in India, but in the diaspora, in Britain, in Canada. Y'all must be tripping. It is the vision of the supremacists at its roots that relegates the minorities of India into second-class citizens. That's a quote and unquote, says Stephen Zhu, the spokesperson of the National Council of Canadian Muslims. The RSS is one of the most powerful non-governmental groups in the world, and its influence extends into Canada, Zhu said. Other than a few media reports of harassments of the harassment of academics who are critical of Hindutva, little is known about how the RSS works in Canada. As Russia's invasion of the Ukraine and concerns about Chinese political interference drive Canada to deepen its relationship with India, you cannot. Did you all catch that? You see how the game is played? Do you see how the game is played? This is why we tell you that the Muslim struggle is the black struggle, and the black struggle is this is why we tell you. You see how the game is played? You can't make this stuff. Even if you wrote it in a movie, people wouldn't believe it. But we are actually living it. Chinese political interference drive Canada to deepen its relationship with India. The organizations behind the report say Canadian officials need to be aware of the depth of the RSS influence in the Indian diaspora in this country. India is also the chair of the G20 this year. Oh my goodness. Are y'all catching this? I hope y'all are sharing. The 16-page report puts this links to the paramilitary group accused of human rights abuses. The 16-page report puts forth its explanation of origin of the RSS and its influence on India's government, drawing from 145 academic and journalistic sources. So you know they got receipts. The report purports to trace the RSS connections to prominent Indo-Canadian charities and lobby groups. The Jew says about the report took nearly 2 years to complete. They went 2 years and got all the goods on the RSS. Then they put out this report. This is a very, very serious thing. It's very serious. Let's continue. The people who believe in this are connected to this network are Canadians. They are pushing a set of interests around this idea of Hindu nationalism, which is remaking India into a country for and run by Hindus first and foremost, as you said. In India, the RSS is more than just a religious or cultural group. Academics who study South Asian politics also know the RSS has a paramilitary organization, and its members now hold the highest office in the land. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the governing party of the Bharatiya Janata Party (BJP). Sorry, I don't know Sanskrit or anything like that. Sorry, are the part of the political wing of the RSS. According to Human Rights Watch, Hindu nationalist government is continuing its systematic discrimination and stigmatization of the minorities such as Muslims, Sikhs, and Dalits. Dalits are, of course, Hindus, right? A group belonging to the lowest strata of the Hindu caste system. HRW says the party supporters are committing more violent attacks on targeted groups. You know, nothing is beyond these Hindutva when it comes to criminal activity against particularly Muslims. Nothing is beyond them. They are willing to go anywhere and do anything to commit the most horrific atrocities against Muslims. And because they are in every single level of government, they do it and they commit these crimes with impunity. But we're going to continue now. Let's continue, okay? The type of human rights violations and extremism that is associated with the RSS is very much an ideology that's not the fringe. It is the state ideology at this juncture, says Jaskaran Sandhu, spokesperson of the World Sikh Organization. Sandhu says Canada can't ignore India's human rights abuses as it pursues greater economic ties with its fellow democracy. Meanwhile, the NCCM says that it has raised concerns about the RSS network with elected officials at all levels of government. It is calling on the federal government to ban 13 Indian politicians from entering Canada who have all called for violence against Muslims. Now, here's like the real shocking parts. Like, I'm going to get into the charities and lobbyists here. This is just a news article. This is only the news article. Wait till you see the receipts that they got. The report alleges the RSS supporters in Canada from civil society organizations to promote the Hindutva ideology and use ethnic media to amplify their nationalist views. According to the report, there are 17 RSS chapters, 17. You can't make this crap up. This is like a horror movie. Operating in Canada under the name of Hindu Swami Civic Sang, as a registered tax-exempt charity. On his website, the chapters promote yoga classes and cultural events. You see how they play this game? You see how they play this game? In Ontario, some of the addresses for the chapters correlate with public schools. You can't make this stuff up. Co-author Sandhu says that Sangs have been asked to put educational events on for students. Sandhu says that the outreach they conduct try to erase the Sikh identity in subtle ways, such as producing educational materials that present Sikh scriptures as Hindu. Hindu Swami Sevik Sang, HSS, Canada, the charitable arm of RSS in Canada, has addressed the claims in the report in a statement posted on its website. So HSS Canada says that it is an independent, wholly Canadian charity that serves Hindu Canadians and based on the values of Hindu Dharma. HSS Canada runs programs and community service projects to benefit all without discrimination of any kind, reads the statement. It calls the report commissioned by the NCCM and WSL an attack on Hindu organizations in Canada that utilizes discredited propaganda materials. This is not even possible. This is not even possible. You're talking about 2 years of research, and the receipts are just outstanding. But this is the actual playbook of Nazis and white supremacists anyways. Just deny. That's how they do. They will see the proof and the evidence, and they will just call it propaganda. So what are you supposed to do with that? So anyways, that right there kind of blew my mind when I read that about the charities and stuff. But let's go into these receipts, shall we? Let me get the summary here, the RSS summary. Where's the summary? 1 second. Get the executive summary here, so you can see these things that they posted. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Here we go. All right. So this is the executive summary of the 60-page article that they wrote, right? So over here, you can clearly see what looks like a bunch of Muslims being hung, their hands behind their back. And it reads, the image above is a visibly Muslim man being lynched, is a tweet posted on an RSS official account. That's the tweet. That's the picture they posted on the official account of the RSS. RSS is an India-based organization that sits in the core of a large network of groups seeking to remake India into a country run by and for Hindus first at the expense of the country's dizzying slew minority groups. It has the domestic and international organs that seize political power, perpetrate its supremacist ideology, and they do say that they are supremacists. They call themselves Hindu supremacists, and actively participate in communal violence. This outlook is commonly known as Hindutva. Like I said, there's no crime that is beyond them. Nothing, literally nothing. Whatever you can imagine, they can and will do it and have done it. But it's vital to remember that the RSS modernist and ideological summation of thousands of years of Hindu practice and thought in no way represents the diversity of hundreds of millions of Hindus who have no interest in adopting Hindutva ideology. The RSS, which presents itself as the authentic unifying voice of the Hindus, is just one fundamentalist group that seeks to justify its exclusionary vision of communal violence against India's minority groups. This exclusionary vision is grounded in ideological frameworks propagated by founding RSS figures such as Keshav. I can't pronounce his name. I'm sorry. I'm not going to begin to pronounce these names. I'm just going to butcher them. Okay. But anyways, whose works cite Nazi Germany. Okay. Now here we get, remember we said that these folks get inspiration from white supremacy. Hindus in general do not have a history of extremism. They don't have this history. This is something brand new. And how did they get it? They got it from the Nazis. Okay, so this is from V.D. Savarkar. If we Hindus in India grow stronger, in time these Muslim friends of the League will have to play the part of the German Jews. Did y'all catch that? And yet still, man, I'm going to save that for last. I'm going to save that comment for last because we're about to blow your mind here, okay? Give me a moment here. To keep the purity of the race and the culture, Germany shocked the world by her purging the country of the Semitic races, the Jews. Race pride is at its highest has been manifested here. Germany has also shown how well nigh impossible it is for races and cultures having differences going to the root to be assimilated to one united whole. A good lesson for us is in Hindustan to learn and profit by. This is MC Goalkar, whatever. They are literally getting inspiration from white supremacists. Literally. And they are inspired to commit genocide because of white supremacists. So how is it that Muslims think it's cool to pick up white supremacist ideology? How is that even possible? This is the end game for every white supremacist. Racial purity, genocide, mass extermination. And you have Muslims out here talking about, yes, we and the white supremacists should band together. We Muslims and white supremacists should band together to fight the liberals. Y'all are sick. Y'all are sick. Nazi sympathizing Muslims. This is every Nazi sympathizer always ends up like this at the end of the day. Every last one of them. Pol Pot did it. Mao Zedong did it. And now you have Narendra Modi doing it. Though India's largest religious minority is Muslim, the RSS network has victimized a host of other non-Hindu groups such as Sikhs, Christians, along with members of the Dalit communities pejoratively known as untouchables. Although Muslims are a central target of the RSS supremacist actions, they are, as this report shows, by no means the network's only target in India and across the world. This is crazy. This is crazy. And you have Muslims out here also spreading and pushing the same ideology. This is insane. The RSS is the core parent member of a network of organizations known as Sangh Parivar. A significant segment of network is devoted to Sewa, sometimes written as Seva, or service in terms of use of both humanitarian relief efforts abroad as well as social and health services provided within India, particularly in its remote and tribal regions. These Seva-related organs help legitimize and perpetuate the RSS's ideology. You catch where the charity is coming from, what the purpose of these charities are, while entrenching its wider presence under the guise of an ideological neutral humanitarian network. Various civil organizations abroad exist primarily to fundraise for efforts linked to the RSS in India. Many groups outside the RSS and Sangh Parivar perform legitimate and non-politicized sewa, including many Sikh relief agencies who also use the term to describe their own aid efforts. Our focus here is on the RSS use of sewa to further its Hindutva ideology. See what's going on here? So they set up these charities in Canada, and I'm positive in UK. Get that Canadian and British money, send it back to India under the guise of doing humanitarian work, but propagating the people to become Hindu extremists. You see how that works? And we are not talking about one or two people. This is a group of millions of people. Millions. Education, ideology, and shakas. Various Sangh RSS-related organizations are operational in countries across the world, including Canada. Chief among the effort are educational chapters, are shaklas, to prepare both youth and adults in ideology training, ceremony, and religious instruction, all linked to the supremacist ideas of the RSS founders and ideologues. You cannot make this stuff up. Let me show you something from the main article that I read. One second, I want to go back to the main article. So I want to get out the summary for a minute, and I'll go to the main article. One second, I want to show y'all something. Let me show y'all something, man. This is so crazy, man. Okay, so this is the main article. Okay, no, it's not. This is the summary. One second. Let me get the main article. I want to get the main article. Yeah, this is it. This is the main article. Okay. This is the main article. And I want to read you one of these quotes, one of the more shocking quotes. Ravi Huda, a real estate agent working with Remax Canada in the GTA, Greater Toronto area, tweeted several Islamophobic statements. Okay, he's a real estate agent. Okay, a successful one at that. Okay, so you got money. Okay, the tweets were mainly in response to the city of Brampton, Ontario, allowing Islamic call to prayer, the Adhan, to be broadcasted for a few minutes every day during the holy month of Ramadan in 2020. According to a May 2020 CBC reports, one of Huda's tweets read, look what this man said. I remember because this was big news when this happened in Canada, right? What's next? Separate lanes for a camel and a goat riders, allowing slaughter of animals at home in the name of sacrifice, bylaw requiring all women to cover themselves from head to toe in tents and to appease the peace fools for votes. Now look at here. The report also noted a major school board in the area confirmed that Huda, look at this, was an executive school council member. Did y'all catch that? These Hindu extremists, just much like the white supremacists here, anywhere in the world actually, hold high positions in society, very high. For Macville Public School in the city of Bolton, Ontario, Huda was soon removed from Remax and Peel District School Board for his Islamophobic comments, according to the same CBC report. But guess what? Guess what? When you got an organization like this backing you, that ain't gonna do nothing. That is not going to do anything. They set up these charities to propagate, not just propagate, but to support paramilitary groups in India. How long do you think it will take for that stuff? Because they are gaining power in politics, in the judicial systems, in the educational system, as you just saw. How long do you think is going to be until they start spreading that stuff over here? Every extremist is the same. Every extremist is the same. And the thing about Canada is that it's so open that it's actually open for extreme elements to come and take over. Hostile elements. So let's go back to the summary. Let's go back to the summary 1 second here. Okay, so let's see. So this one, we're going to close it out with this one here. Global political influence. Much of RSS progressive drift from the margins of Indian and Hindu society towards the mainstream has to do with the main political organ, the BJP, right? 2 successive federal election wins in 2014 and 2019 when the Hindu Nationalist Party captured the majorities in parliament. So that means millions of people voted these people in, despite there being, large amounts of minorities in India. And they did it twice. The BJP also projects its interests abroad through the network of lobbying organizations called the Overseas Friends of the BJP. You cannot make this stuff up. Among their other strategies and tactics. So these guys are not playing around. They're playing for keeps. They are looking at a goal to make India a Hindu national state with every other minority either being a second-class citizen or exterminated. They're not messing around. They're looking to accomplish that goal. And they got support everywhere for that goal. So make sure you guys share this. I don't want to make this too long, but as you can see, the information on this situation is very, very deep. I'm going to leave links in the description, inshallah. Right? So share this, and we will see you guys next time. Subhanallah bihamdik, wa shalla la ilaha illa ant, wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk, wa assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.